Stop what you're doing. Because what Kandi Burruss just uncovered didn't just break her heart, it collapsed her entire reality. Multiple insiders now claim Kandi stumbled onto what looked like a secret marriage-style contract tied to Todd Tucker and Porsha Williams, not papers filed in court, but a private agreement so explosive it allegedly rewrote everything she thought she knew about her own marriage. No official documents have been shown. No signatures confirmed. But what Kandi reportedly saw was enough to make her go silent, and then snap. For years, fans thought the drama was just TV noise. Petty shade. Reality show chaos. But this wasn't gossip. This felt clinical, calculated, contractual. And the moment the whispers reached Kandi's phone, witnesses say her entire demeanor changed. The panic wasn't theatrical, it was personal. Because if even part of this alleged agreement is real, then what she walked into wasn't just betrayal, it was business. And that's when Kandi finally spoke. Not with tears, with fire. She didn't whisper. She didn't dodge. She made it clear there were receipts, shifting stories, and allegations that refused to stay buried. The kind of claims that turn one late-night rumor into a full-blown implosion. What you're about to hear is Kandi breaking her silence, and the details get darker from here.
And she's like, oh, you and Todd tried to get us to do a threesome.
Which she's still talking about.
Is
even
she?
In new interview this week.
What did she say? Let me tell you, this is how her story changes. And I want you guys, if you could pull up this clip. Okay. A few years ago, TMZ blasted her about preaching against gays and lesbians, right? Okay. Now, let's be clear. I would have never said anything about Porsha, ever about anything about that, had she not obviously shaded the hell out of me, saying that I'm an undercover lesbian, right? Now, let's be clear. I've even said on Housewives before that I've had a girl experience before.
I think Nene talked about it too.
Yes,
I've been a lady.
So there is nothing in the closet about me, honey.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very happily married, but I have had, a girl-on-girl experience.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't feel like it was a problem. Okay, but our friend there, Porsha, who has preached against gays and lesbians in church, on camera, y'all have had it on film. She's kissed me in the club, full out, and said she wanted to do things to me. I'm not even, well, they're going to show it on the show, but anyway, the point is, this girl changes her story so much.
The moment Kandi Burruss allegedly came across something described by insiders as a private marriage-style contract linked to Todd Tucker and Porsha Williams, everything changed. No court stamp. No courthouse filing. Just whispers of an agreement so disturbing that people close to her say it made her completely shut down before she finally erupted. Because if even part of what's being discussed online is real, then this wasn't just a messy breakup. It was structured. It was organized. It was planned. For years, fans were told this was just reality TV chaos. Dramatic personalities. Overblown storylines. Manufactured tension for ratings. But according to multiple online sources, what Kandi allegedly found wasn't emotional. It was strategic. People familiar with the behind-the-scenes talk claim that what she saw wasn't romantic, wasn't casual, and wasn't accidental. It looked like a blueprint, an arrangement, a framework that went far beyond gossip and straight into something much darker. And when Kandi finally spoke, she didn't cry. She countered. That wasn't denial. That was documentation. She wasn't saying that didn't happen. She was saying, here's how your story keeps changing. And to anyone who's ever watched a collapse happen in real time, that moment matters. Because when someone stops defending themselves emotionally and starts dismantling the narrative instead, it means they're no longer just hurt. They're calculating what really happened. Not long after that exchange aired, online commentary exploded. Fans dissected every word, every facial expression, every shift in tone. Because something in Kandi's delivery didn't sound reactive. It sounded exhausted. As if this wasn't the first time she'd been blindsided. As if this was the moment everything connected. Insiders familiar with production pipeline chatter claim the edit left out more than it showed. That what viewers received was a compressed version of a much uglier exchange. Which brings us to the next moment. The one viewers were never meant to play back slowly.
So when I confronted her on the show about it, for, saying things she said about me, she came back with this story about me and Todd tried to get her to do a threesome. And that's how that came about. But they only show in the clip her saying that. But when you get to see the full show, you see she's saying it in response to me confronting her. Whoa.
The accusation did not arrive alone. It arrived after confrontation. And that changes everything. Because in media, context is not decoration. Context is control. People who study reality television production will tell you, you don't need to fabricate a lie to change perception. You just need to crop the timing. And if what Kandi says is accurate, then what audiences saw wasn't the origin of the claim. It was the retaliation. And then, the contract whispers. No documents have been shown publicly. No signed pages. No sealed envelopes. Yet, but what set social media on fire wasn't paper. It was something much simpler. Messages. Private messages. Screens that don't scream legal document, but whisper something more unsettling. An understanding. An implication. An arrangement no one was supposed to know about. And when Kandi finally addressed what had been circulating behind the scenes, she did not speak in hypotheticals. She spoke in screenshots.
At first it was, I would never do anything with her until I had brought those text messages out on her, honey, that showed her texting me a couple of days later talking about how great everything, how much fun she had and how she wouldn't rape me on camera. And it's like, honey, well, make up your mind.
No written contract has been produced. But those messages? According to online interpretation, they read like confirmation without documents. Like an agreement that didn't need paper. Just phones. Timestamps. And silence when asked to deny it. And this is where timelines start to disturb people. Because viewers began connecting moments long dismissed as harmless. The late-night hangouts, the sudden closeness, the inconsistent tone between interviews, the visible discomfort when all three appeared in one-room promotions that no longer matched the relationships portrayed. What once looked like awkwardness now looked like guilt. And as the internet did what it does best, dig, another pattern emerged. Support. Support that was never returned.
Okay. And then it's like, at the end of the day, it's so funny because, I look at the blogs, obviously. I see people saying, she's jealous of her. What do I have to be jealous of? I've always wanted to see Porsha win in life, period. When she went through the little situation with the fight in the past, I reached out. I said, hey, please don't keep her on the show. Please keep her on the show. Like, I was, when she was doing her music thing, I didn't even write the song. I was posting it before she did, buy her music. When I did my play, I put her in it so people could see her acting and singing. We were cool. At the top of the year last year when she taped The Apprentice, I paid thousands of dollars on her challenge day trying to see her win, and we weren't even on the best of terms that time.
That isn't rivalry. That's investment. Time, money, reputation. Help when no one else would. And according to Kandi, the return was betrayal, broadcast for ratings. People online shattered into two camps. One side asked, why would someone fabricate something this specific? And the other asked something far more dangerous. Why hasn't anyone given a clean denial? Because in celebrity culture, denials move fast. Receipts move faster. And silence? Silence becomes suspicion. Since that interview aired, no unified statement. No joint clarification. No coordinated narrative. Just fragments. Interviews that don't match. Statements that slide sideways. And a woman who once smiled through everything. Now gravity in her voice. It would be convenient to say this is just reality TV drama. But insiders argue this no longer feels staged. It feels personal. It feels cold. It feels like something financial, reputational, and contractual ran directly through the center of an emotional collapse. Think about it. If a person believes they've discovered a private agreement connected to the person they married and a woman they trusted, would you expect tears? Or would you expect strategy? Witnesses say Kandi didn't fall apart immediately. She went quiet first. And silence isn't weakness. Silence is calculation. And so the show no longer feels like a show. It feels like surveillance. Every glance, every pause, every delayed reaction. Now read differently. There is one phrase circulating behind closed doors right now. It wasn't passion. It was positioning. Was there an actual contract? No proven document has surfaced. But the combination of testimony, timing, and texts has created a narrative that refuses to die. Because even without signatures, behavior signs agreements long before ink ever does. And now, every interview is evaluated. Every denial written in microscript. Every absence questioned. Because the story no longer belongs to producers. It belongs to the public. And the public is not convinced this is over. The deeper people looked, the stranger everything became. Because the more fans rewatched old footage, the more moments began resurfacing that nobody had paid attention to before. Jokes that now felt loaded. Pauses that didn't look accidental anymore. Conversations that suddenly sounded rehearsed. What once looked harmless now felt intentional. Strategic. Viewers stopped watching episodes. They started studying behavior. Todd's posture when Porsha entered the room. Kandi's silence when the camera cut too late. Porsha's confidence in places where she shouldn't have had any. And suddenly a pattern emerged. Todd avoided eye contact. Kandi looked emotionally detached. And Porsha looked comfortable. Too comfortable. People weren't looking for proof anymore. They were looking for pattern. Behind the scenes, one phrase began echoing from multiple directions. Everyone knew something. Nobody could prove it. Former crew members, production insiders, and longtime industry watchers hinted online that not every conversation aired the way it was recorded. Scenes were reorganized. Reactions were shortened. Emotional tension was delayed. Not to protect feelings, to protect timing. Because stories that break too early ruin seasons. And seasons are money. As weeks passed, Todd's public tone changed. His responses grew shorter. His expressions flatter. People familiar with media behavior say when someone shifts from explaining to deflecting, something else is going on behind the scenes. And when someone stops clarifying, they've either been advised or they've been cornered. Kandi, meanwhile, appeared emotionally absent. Not dramatic. Not staged. Just exhausted. As if she wasn't heartbroken. She was disoriented. Because discovering betrayal is painful. But discovering structure behind it? That breaks identity. Imagine believing your marriage was emotional. Then realizing parts of it were operational. And fans noticed. The comments exploded. Why wasn't there a joint interview? Why no unified denial? Why no clean statement? Only selective responses through intermediaries. Through friends. Through leaks. And silence. A former associate allegedly described it like this. They weren't trying to deny it. They were trying to delay it. And then came the rule every reality TV fan knows. If something is not denied clearly, it's usually because it's being edited. By now, comment sections weren't gossiping. They were investigating. Every interview dissected. Every word weighed. Every pause magnified. And one truth became impossible to ignore. The story kept changing. And when stories change, it's not progress. It's panic.
But it's like, for some reason, she has decided she wanted to go against me.
I am excited to see some of this stuff escalate on the show. As someone who watches it, I think all the fans are unfortunately looking forward to that kind of thing.
It's so crazy because, some people are like, you guys have just gone solo, you're so ratchet now. And it's like, it is a little ratchet. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. It's a little ratchet. But it's real. At least for me, it's real. Now, they're going to give you one story 1 minute and another story the next minute. And then if you catch them off camera, it's another story.
And when a person admits that the story changes depending on the lens, it stops being entertainment and becomes damage control. Because one version for television and one version in real life are not coincidence. They are strategy. And people online began asking the question no one wanted to answer. If everyone is innocent, why does every explanation need a new explanation? Every few weeks, another version. Another clarification. Another, that's not what I meant. And suddenly, fans weren't searching for documents. They were watching for behavioral proof. Energy shifts. Unnatural distance. Forced neutrality. People don't fake collapse well. They hide it. And then slowly, it leaks. And Kandi stopped reacting publicly. She stopped correcting. Stopped responding. Stopped engaging. Which isn't weakness. It's recalibration. A legal consultant familiar with celebrity arrangements allegedly commented in a forum post. Private deals don't always come with paper. Sometimes they come with expectations. That single sentence detonated the internet. Because suddenly, it wasn't about documents. It was about pattern, movement, access, support, silence, comfort where discomfort should live, and discomfort where acceptance should be. If it were only attraction, it would have burned and died. If it were only rumor, it would have faded. But this stays. Because structured betrayal does not explode. It erodes. And something else disturbed viewers. Power dynamics. Kandi wasn't just exposed emotionally. She was isolated socially. And isolation doesn't always happen naturally. Sometimes, it's engineered. Because it's easier to control a person when they stand alone. And the more controversial the whispers became, the quieter the official responses grew. No direct denials. No unified statements. Only controlled silence. And controlled silence is worse than a scandal, because it confirms something exists, even if no one names it. Viewers started mapping timelines, locations, disappearances. One creator pointed out travel overlaps. Another archived live streams that were scrubbed. Another noticed something devastating. Kandi's energy changed before the public ever knew anything, which meant the collapse didn't begin online. It began privately. She knew before we did. And that's when everything tilted, because she wasn't responding to allegations. She was processing revelation. And as attention stayed focused on Todd and Porsha, people forgot one thing. Collapses don't scream. They calculate. Kandi isn't explaining. She's detaching. She's rearranging. She's moving quietly. And when someone goes silent in this way, it's never surrender. It's positioning. If the alleged agreement is untrue, the silence surrounding it is louder than proof. Because truth wants oxygen. And denial wants speed. But silence. Silence wants time. And time brings consequences. This story was never about gossip. It is about who knew, who waited, who stayed comfortable, and who discovered too late that love doesn't always lose first. Loyalty does. And wherever this leads, one truth already stands. This collapse wasn't loud. It was surgical. And the longer the silence pulls on, the heavier it becomes. Because silence doesn't live in isolation. It attracts questions. It breeds theories. And eventually, it demands resolution. By now, people weren't asking if stress existed. They were asking who caused it. And when official answers fail to arrive, speculation becomes the only source of oxygen. The industry rumor mill didn't just whisper. It began to hum. Low. Constant. Unavoidable. According to multiple entertainment bloggers and behind-the-scenes accounts, certain conversations shifted tone after the rumors surfaced. Invitations changed. Guest appearances disappeared. Meetings that used to happen casually stopped happening at all. And that's when people familiar with celebrity brand behavior noticed something disturbing. Kandi's professional world started reacting before her personal world did. Which, in this business, isn't coincidence. It's consequence. When a scandal threatens perception, publicists don't panic. They calculate. Not what is said, but what isn't. Suddenly, appearances were measured. Statements were trimmed. Topics changed without explanation. And one common pattern floated quietly through comment sections. Why does everyone sound cautious around the same names? It wasn't shouting anymore. It was choreography. Meanwhile, the audience was no longer waiting for confirmation. They were waiting for collapse. Because when emotional pressure reaches a certain point, it doesn't crack loudly. It implodes quietly. Those close to Kandi reportedly described a shift. A slow one. A dangerous one. She stopped asking what people thought. She stopped reacting to speculation. She stopped trying to clear narratives that weren't hers to begin with. Instead, she studied. And when a person who once faced everything head-on goes silent, it's not because they've given up. It's because they're preparing. Then came the whispers about lawyers. Not filings. Just conversations. Not lawsuits. Just positioning. Not paperwork. Just caution. Nothing official. Nothing public. But something moved underneath the surface. And then came that strange detail. The one even neutral observers couldn't ignore. Kandi's inner circle began shrinking. Public allies grew quiet. Industry-level support stopped being visible. Which, in entertainment culture, suggests one thing. People don't disappear when a rumor is ridiculous. They disappear when it's dangerous. And yet, no denial came. No single voice stood center frame and dismantled the narrative. No carefully worded message was published. No mutual agreement to clarify. No courtroom press tour. No reconciliation statement. Just fractures. And fractures spread when pressure stays constant. And outside of the celebrity bubble, one idea kept returning. Why would this situation require so much silence if nothing happened? Because truth runs toward explanation. But damage runs toward containment. Then came the theories surrounding visibility. Viewers noticed Todd's public appearances thinning out. Not vanishing, just thinning. Which is worse. Because disappearance creates rumor. But inconsistency creates anxiety. Porsha's interviews, according to fans, began shifting in tone. Still present. Still polished. But noticeably more careful. Less free flow. More protected. Not guilt, but readiness. Observers weren't analyzing emotions anymore. They were analyzing. Words that didn't quite land, smiles that arrived too late, reactions that didn't match questions, answers that moved sideways. And slowly, a new idea emerged. What if none of this is about guilt? What if it's about exposure? Because sometimes, people don't deny rumors. Not because they're true, but because denying them would reveal something worse. By now, legal bloggers and intellectual property analysts began chiming in. Not with accusations. With hypotheticals. How reputation clauses work. How media contracts behave under scandal. How narrative control becomes an asset. How silence can be negotiated. How damage is sometimes cheaper than disclosure. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It felt structural. And the audience began to notice something else. Kandi wasn't moving like a woman chasing answers. She was moving like someone closing doors. New business language emerged in her world. Realignment. Restructuring. Repositioning. Words that don't appear when everything is normal. And some of her oldest fans began to say it out loud. She doesn't look heartbroken. She looks reorganized. And reorganization only happens when the old structure is no longer usable. Then, a chilling theory circulated among longtime watchers. What if the collapse wasn't emotional, but operational? Meaning, this wasn't just heartbreak. This was dismantling. It's one thing to betrayal by emotion. It's another to realize you may have been managed inside your own life. And for the public, this became something bigger. A case study in perception, power, narrative ownership. How one rumor reshapes a brand. How silence can injure louder than accusation. People weren't looking for documents anymore. They were looking for outcomes. Who gained? Who lost? Who stayed comfortable? Who disappeared? And who changed? Behind the scenes, the word fallout began trending in gossip forums. Not explosive fallout, soft fallout, the kind that doesn't trend on timelines, but restructures lives. Some fans speculated that friendships shifted, professional alliances cooled, invitations dried, support evaporated before explanation, which is strange, because if nothing is wrong, nothing should change. And yet, everything did. By now, the idea of a contract no longer meant paper. It meant position. It meant proximity. It meant advantage. It meant influence. Because power agreements don't always write themselves down. They move through convenience, access, control. And when control is exposed, the response is never explanation. It's containment. By design, reality television cannot survive on silence. Drama demands speech. Conflict demands sound. But here, silence is winning. Which is exactly why people believe the story isn't over. Because resolution has not even arrived. Not in words. Not in admissions. Not in clarifications. Not in forgiveness. Just absence. And absence feels permanent. If a contract never existed, the secrecy surrounding its rumor has created something worse. A shadow no one can outrun. And this is where collapses stop being emotional and start becoming reputational. Because reputation doesn't break when the public speaks. It breaks when leadership goes quiet. And right now, everything feels quiet. Too quiet. This story began as gossip. It is ending as disorientation. Kandi's collapse isn't defined by tears. It's defined by withdrawal. And withdrawal isn't sadness. It's protection. Whatever truth exists, it's not rushing forward. It's being guarded. And guard is only stationed when something is worth defending. The fallout isn't loud yet. It's slow. It's precise. It's surgical. And when it comes, it won't arrive with shouting. It will arrive with decisions. Disappearing alliances. Quiet shifts. Sudden rebrands. This isn't over. Because structures never fall in one piece. They fracture. Piece by piece. And the last piece is always silence. If you're still here, it means one thing. You already know this isn't just show drama. This doesn't feel like coincidence. And it definitely doesn't feel finished. Because when stories stop making sense, when versions keep changing, when silence gets louder than any statement, that's when you're no longer watching entertainment. You're watching a collapse in progress. Right now, no one is giving full answers. No one is laying every card on the table. And no one is rushing to clear the fog. And that is exactly why the fog matters. If nothing was wrong, clarity would already be here. But it isn't. And silence is not neutral. Silence is pressure building behind a locked door. So here's my question for you. Do you think this was just messy reality TV? Or do you believe there's something deeper hiding behind the edit, behind the interviews, behind the careful silence? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because right now, the truth isn't being spoken. It's being decoded. And if you want to stay ahead of this story, not after it explodes, but while it's still unfolding, then make sure you're subscribed right now. Not later. Not after the next episode. Now. Because the next chapter doesn't air on TV. It happens in leaks. In timing. In slips. In moves nobody wants you to notice. Turn on notifications. This isn't just content. This is an investigation you're now part of. And when the silence finally breaks, you'll want to be here when it does.